Hello?
Recording.
I hear the background music pretty loud.
And is that
Ah,
better?
there you go. Yeah, much better.
All right.
How
Let
you
me get
doing?
going. We're streaming live.
Yes.
So where are you located?
Well, I live in New York City. Let me see. Let me see if I can put it somewhere else that's more comfortable for me. I live here in Washington Heights. How about you?
Oh, well, I'm in Florida, West Palm Beach. I used to live in Staten Island.
You live in Staten Island?
Yeah, that's my family's from.
Ah, okay.
Right there
Cool,
with
man.
Reggie. So let me introduce you to the audience. I'd like everybody to take a moment to welcome Manuel Valera. I pronounce it right?
Yeah, yeah. Perfect.
Great. Um, Manuel was introduced to me to Reggie Washington and Jamming Colors. And I know they've got a program they're doing now to get the concert that they did promoted. So, in addition to playing their music on our jazz channel, The Groove, I asked Reggie if we could get some musicians to talk to us live. So I'm happy today to have Manuel in on the phone or video chat with me, and I'm gonna bring his screen over so he can tell you about himself.
All right. So, my name is Manuel Valera. I move this out of the way. My screen. I'm a pianist and composer. Uh, been living in New York for about 3 years now. Almost almost 20 years in August. And I've been fortunate enough to make a living playing music, uh, playing with a lot of people from a lot of people from the Latin jazz world, people like Paquito de Rivera, that took us on the wild, but also from the jazz world as well, like people like Lenny White and Jeff Ten Watts. Um, so I've been very uh, lucky to make music with my heroes essentially. And hopefully, after the pandemic is over, we can continue and go back to some sense of normalcy. But that's kind of in a nutshell. That's kind of me. I'm a composer as well as a pianist. Um, I won a couple of Grammys. I've been nominated. My project have been nominated for the Grammys as well. And last year, I was awarded the Guggenheim Fellowship for Composition in the United States, which is a very, very high honor and something that I'm very proud of. Um, anyway, that's that's kind of me in a nutshell. Hello, did I lose you?
I turn my audio off.
Oh, okay.
How did you get connected with Reggie and Jamming Colors?
Well, I've known Reggie. I've met Reggie like for the first time maybe 15 years ago or more when he was still living in New York. And but we never really played together or anything. But I knew of his work with Steve Katz. He comes from a very strong musical family. So I mean, I was totally aware of his music and his playing. But we kind of fell out of touch, and then we got reacquainted through Stephanie because Stephanie, they're married, so, and she's in charge of booking me in Europe. So we kind of got reacquainted that way, and for this Act Four music show that we did, it seemed like a great idea to get him involved with Reggie because I always thought that that rhythm section could be really really happening, and they played together quite a bit. So it was good to have them be part of my trio for even if virtually for for those three tunes, and we hope to at least I hope to be able to do more with that trio because it was a lot of fun even if we were not actually playing at the same time together. It seemed like it was like it was something really cool, and I love the sound of Reggie with my music. So hopefully we could do more.
Wow. Wow. So before you came on, I was playing some music from your site.
Oh, okay.
So when you sit down to write a song, what's the process?
Um, well, I do it a lot. So sometimes sometimes it's not as as magical as you may think that you sit down and you listen and wow, you know. A lot of the times there's a lot of like composition is kind of like playing an instrument. There are tools that you have. So so essentially you don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. But instead, what I try to do is I try to develop ideas. Um, like let's say I come up with 8 bars, right? 8 bars muse related 8 bars. Then I could take those 16 bars and make them into a whole thing with just that information that's in those 16 bars. And I mean that comes kind of like that's like a classical music concept. Uh, you know, the most famous one is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. You know, it's just those notes, and he just makes it into a whole thing. So essentially, you know, that's kind of my process. As far as that's the technically. As far as sitting down, I mean, I try to get inspired by other forms of art, but also by current events, um, other musicians. You know, it really changes, and sometimes I have very fruitful periods that I write a lot of music, and sometimes I have periods that I don't write that much. Um, but during this pandemic, I've actually have been writing a lot of music because since we can't tour, I've been I've been making my living um, with commissions and some musicians. So that's it's forced me to write a lot of music, which is great. Something positive to come out of this terrible situation, you know.
I was going to ask you about this whole COVID situation and its effect that it's had on not only you, but this whole industry of music
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
musicians and touring. What's your insight? What do you think is really, going to happen?
Um, well, it's definitely been. I mean, I think the entertainment industry, all facets of the entertainment industry has been hit super hard, and there is no real opening inside for a lot of these clubs and theaters and all Broadway shows are canceled until further notice, which is super crazy. I mean, even though I don't really go to Broadway shows, but it's a main source of income for a lot of musicians and a lot of my friends. So um, I'm not sure when we'll be able to get back to playing again. But I do think that in the meantime, this kind of situation, like the Act for Music concert that we did, I think that's gonna kind of keep us alive somehow, even if it's not playing, live. Still connecting with people and still working with people, and there's still the human element is still involved, even though not as much as any of us would like. But I think hopefully by the fall or maybe early next year, we could get back to playing some gigs. I think it also depends on whether they come up with a vaccine or not. I think the vaccine is kind of the most important part of this whole thing because without the vaccine, we, I'm afraid that we might go back to where we came from. This closure and isolation and stuff. So hopefully they can come up with something, even though that process they say it could take a really long time. and just making the vaccine just takes a long time. But who knows? I mean, I stay hopeful that we can go back to play music, and I could stop eating my savings.
I hear you.
So
Um,
yeah.
I just had it in my mind what I was going to ask you. Oh, I know what it was. Maybe not um, all entertainment, but for athletic events, for example, the ticket prices were ridiculous. Do you think this is going to
Oh,
help?
you mean for
Yeah,
like baseball games and things like that?
yeah.
Yeah.
You think this is going to help bring those prices down so more people can come once they're available able to?
Hmm.
Because jazz,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
from my
I,
experience,
I say,
jazz
yeah.
musicians and jazz fans are loyal,
Right.
you know, and they weren't hit with astronomical concert prices, and they had the disposable income to go to these concerts. So I think that in the future, promoters need to consider that because people don't have that kind of money right now. So even if it does
Right.
open up and you got a 50% capacity at a outdoor event, you know, I think if the prices are staying up high for those grand slam celebrities, again, not
Yeah.
jazz, it, people won't go.
I know. I mean, do you have headphones on? Because I hear myself.
Yeah. Let me see if I can bring that
Uh,
down a little for you because it just
um.
started.
Yeah. I think regarding the concert price thing. Unfortunately, I think it becomes like an economics thing. So since you have less seats, you have to charge more. Because
Yeah.
you're only gonna be. I mean, I'm talking for jazz clubs and stuff like that. I'm not really talking for theaters, but I guess if there was a way that the governments could somehow subsidize
Subsidize.
some of these costs for these club owners and stuff like that,
That would be good.
to keep art alive, that could be something that could work. But who knows, man? Like it's really hard to get money out of government, as I'm sure you know, especially in the United States for the arts. It's like there's not even a Department of Culture in the United States.
Wow. You're
So
right.
I mean, there's not a Minister of Culture. So
You're right.
so it's not a big it's not they don't consider an important thing, even though it's super important because it's art is kind of what makes us human.
Right.
But
So uh, I want to play at least one of your songs so that the
okay,
audience can take a listen and you can talk about it. Is that cool?
all right,
Let me see.
sure.
I'm gonna see if I can see this.
I'm gonna call, baby. I'm gonna.
So, Manuel, tell us a little about this song. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So, tell me a little bit about that song.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. We got disconnected
Okay.
somehow.
So, tell me about that song. Did you hear it?
Yeah, yeah. Of course. That's that's from a very like a '70s Elton John record called Honky Chateau, and I always love that song because it talks about New York and entitled people and all the things that make New York was great, what makes it great and what makes it kind of terrible. Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. Um, and I wanted to put a different kind of vibe on the tune, and we actually I wanted to put like a more soulful kind of kind of gospelly waltz kind of thing on it, and that's just a tune that we play with the trio a lot, and it was really really easy to do it. But that's probably one of my
Wow.
uh, Elton John's an artist that I really have in this interest. I don't know why. His
I, you
70s
know,
stuff is fantastic. Like the orchestration, the songs, the lyrics. I mean, it's kind of happening.
that's how I feel, Benny and the Jets was always one of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just takes you on a trip,
I,
you know.
I mean, it's also like those 70s records. They use a lot of like techniques that are recording techniques like that are very like peculiar and groundbreaking. And I think Benny and the Jets, like somebody was telling me something how they got that effect. Like the beginning has this funny like stadium effect.
Right.
I think Benny and I think it's Benny and the Jets. Like it has like a funny effect, and how they did that is they recorded some people clapping, and then they did like a feed through with the studio,
Oh, wow.
and then they got like a crazy like stadium kind of sounding like super big reverb. It sounds like he's in a huge room, but it's not. You know.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that. It's kind of, I mean, I'm kind of a studio techniques aficionado as well. So like those '70s records, those pop '70s records, always have a lot of really interesting stuff. Especially the Beatles. The Beatles were like completely in the forefront of everything that was technologically, forward um, for the time. When they were recording to, first like 4 tracks, 8 tracks, and just making that work. There's actually some footage of the remaining Beatles. I think it's from the '80s, late '80s, listening to some of the tracks on the console. And it's just really interesting, like how they, when they start like just isolating out, it's it's really
It's
cool the way that big sound, few tracks, the way they didn't have a lot. It's not a lot of tape, I think 8 tracks, 16 tracks maybe tops.
wow.
Anyway, that's that's a different thing.
So, what advice would you give?
Hello, I lost you, man.
Okay, I think I'm back now.
Oh, okay.
What advice would you give young musicians now?
Hmm. Not sure, man. I think my generation was kind of my and E.J. Strickland and kind of, I feel terrible, but I feel that that was kind of the last generation that could really have a chance to make any money doing this. Um, but I mean, I think it comes down to making music being a labor of love, and it has to be something that you can't do without. If it's anything less than than a complete necessity to do it, it's probably best not to do it. Because it's hard. It's super hard, and it has to be something that comes from deep within and a true love of making music. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something that you would just make it to be cool or to like to definitely you wouldn't make it for you wouldn't do it for making money.
Mhm.
Um, you know, uh, so it's just something that you really have to love what you're doing. And as far um, I feel like a lot of the younger cats with this COVID thing, like it was hard already for them to make any living, do any money doing this, and now it's gotten even harder just because they were kind of living from month to month, and now that's completely like you can't do month to month now. That's not happening. Um, so it kind of pushes you to. I'm afraid I'm afraid this COVID thing is gonna kill some of the younger generation's interest. Because if you have to go back home because you don't have money for rent and stuff, the pool of musicians will reduce a lot, and then in the larger context, I think it might diminish the jazz musicians 20 years from now. Are you there? Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I couldn't hear the background. So I think hopefully it's not something that that just the lack of musicians going forward. I mean, it depends how long this goes. Hopefully by next year we're all back to normal. Who knows? That would be cool.
Yeah,
But if this extends, then we're all gonna be hurting pretty bad. Even the people that have savings, like myself, eventually, it's
yeah,
gonna be hurting. So
you're right. I think we're gonna
it's
come
kind of
out
like
of
it's
this.
kind of like the thing with education. If you don't invest in education now, 20 years from now, you're gonna have a lot of uneducated people.
You're right.
So
You're
it's
right.
similar concept with the jazz musicians. If they can't make it now, the younger cats that are playing at Smalls and doing, you know, playing the late set at Smalls, hanging out till 4 a.m. and doing stuff like that. If we don't have that, then eventually, it will be less and less. And when my generation gets to be 60 and the other one's 40, who's gonna be the one that's 20?
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true, man.
But hopefully, I'm thinking way ahead of this whole thing, and hopefully it's all good, and we could all get
Yeah,
back to doing what we love, and you know, I mean, I'm staying positive, at least trying to, just because you have to, like there's no other way. Um, hold um, so yeah. So how about you, man? What are you doing?
I'm enjoying
Are
the
you all right?
lesson that you're giving us. Um, you know, especially knowing that you're in New York City and knowing what they're going through up there with the COVID and how many jazz
Yeah,
clubs
man.
and places there were for you guys to perform. Um, and then the touring, it's really
Yeah,
been rough on the entertainers. Uh,
it's been super rough, man. Like, I mean, I've lost so much money since March, like with everything being canceled. Talking 25K, something like that so far.
so I understand
You know,
my brother's in Rome, Italy,
you know,
and he can't
right?
tour, he can't perform.
Yeah,
So, but we're gonna wish you
yeah.
guys all
It's
the luck, and we're gonna continue to promote the show and the website and your music.
Thank you, man.
So I appreciate the call, the video chance, get to meet you
Yeah.
face to face. Um,
Oh, face to face, like, you
yeah,
know.
especially with
Hopefully we get to
COVID.
meet face to face for real.
Yeah, for now it's COVID
Um,
19 face to face.
yeah, right. The new normal. Well, for now, hopefully it's not the new normal.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll have all your music playing on the groove. You know, Stephanie's been great, and
Yeah,
promoting
she's
what you
awesome.
guys do.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're here
man.
to just expand
Good.
your brand.
Thank you, thank you. I need all the help I could get.
I hear you. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, just thank you for having me, and I hope that everybody stays safe out there, and do what you can, social distance and all that, and hopefully we could all go back to normalcy sooner than later. You know?
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for the time and the interview. It's going to be on
Yeah, man.
YouTube and Facebook in case you want to
Okay,
watch it.
cool.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
streamed it to YouTube and Facebook. So I'll make sure Stephanie has the link so you guys could check it out.
sounds good.
All right.
Cool, cool.
I'm going to leave us with some of your music.
Okay, all right,
All
sounds
right.
good.
So stay healthy.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I try. You too.